Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take a stack of information articles, research, community chatter, and pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge for you.
Basically a shortcut through all the noise.
Exactly. Think of it as getting you well-informed without wading through everything yourself.
And today we're jumping into the very latest pulse of the AI world, specifically from June 3rd, 2025. It's been, well, another packed week.
Absolutely. Our mission today is to cut through that flood and highlight the key shifts, the breakthroughs, and the debates you need to know about right now.
We'll hit new models, performance, what's happening on your own hardware.
Right, and even the bigger picture stuff, the AI race talk. Okay, let's unpack this.
And probably the best place to start is this major model release everyone's talking about, DeepSeek R1-0528.
Yes, DeepSeek dropped this one with open weights, open code, even their research targets out there.
It's a very open strategy, clearly designed to get developers everywhere using it, testing it, immediately.
And the capabilities jump seems pretty significant.
Oh, yeah. Reports show big improvements over their older stuff, especially reasoning, and, importantly, fewer hallucinations.
Fewer moments where it just confidently makes things up.
Exactly. Less of that. And it's better with structured outputs, spitting out clean JSON, handling function calls properly. That's huge for actually building things with it.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, right? The benchmarks.
Get this? On several key tests, Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, LiveBench, GPQA Diamond, where it hit 76%, DeepSeek R1-0528 isn't just keeping up.
It's matching or even beating some top closed models.
Yes. Models like OpenAI's O3, Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro. That's kind of a shockwave.
Wow. So artificial analysis is putting it where exactly?
They highlighted it's basically tied for the #2 spot globally among open weights models.
That means it's ahead of names like Meta, Anthropic, .xai.
That's what they're saying. It really challenges that old idea that open models are always playing catch-up.
And people seem to like DeepSeek's style. Low marketing, just tech.
Yeah, the community seems to appreciate the technical transparency, letting the results speak.
And this connects to a bigger trend, right, about Chinese AI labs.
Definitely. It fits right into what Artificial Analysis found in their Q2 China AI report. Labs like DeepSeek, Alibaba, ByteDance, Xiaomi, they're releasing models incredibly fast now.
Right after the U.S. counterparts.
Sometimes, yeah, very quickly after. And the report says they're hitting parity intelligence-wise and sometimes even getting better results on certain tasks.
And the open weight strategy is helping fuel that.
It seems to be a key part of it. Rapid development, community feedback, fast adoption. It really speeds things up.
So this DeepSeek release isn't just one model. It's maybe a sign of a bigger shift.
A signal, yeah. A shift in the global landscape and proof of how powerful open weights can be. The pace is just something else.
Okay, let's dig into that performance a bit more. DeepSeek R1-0528. How's it doing in more practical tests? Yeah. How does this link to running AI locally?
Well, beyond the usual benchmarks, there's LiveBench. It now includes these agentic coding tasks.
Where the AI acts more like an independent problem solver.
Right. On LiveBench overall, DeepSeek R1-0528 ranks 8th, which is good, but zoom in. And it's #1 specifically for data analysis tasks.
#1 in data analysis. That's a strong niche, especially for an open model.
Absolutely. And having that kind of power openly available is pushing this huge trend, running powerful AI locally on consumer gear.
Right, getting these huge models working on your desktop, maybe even your laptop.
Exactly. And that's where quantization is just essential.
That's the shrinking process, right? Making the model smaller.
Basically, yeah, compressing it so it runs on systems with, let's say, less extreme hardware than the giant training clusters.
And we're seeing real examples.
Oh, yeah. Lots of buzz around a 131 gig quantized version of DeepSeek R10528 called IQ1SR4.
131 gigs? That's still big, but manageable for some setups.
It's designed for, high-end prosumer systems. Think 128 gigs of RAM plus a good GPU with 24 gigs of VRAM. That's not uncommon anymore for serious users.
And people are comparing these quantized versions, looking at the trade-offs.
Constantly. Size versus performance metrics like perplexity, though, there's always that debate.
About whether perplexity really tells you how useful a model is for real tasks, especially comparing different architectures.
Exactly that debate. It measures prediction accuracy, but usefulness is more complex.
So what's the word on the street from folks actually running these things locally?
People are talking about this dynamic quant era. The feeling is definite speed improvements for local inference, getting answers much faster than, say, 6 months ago.
And not just on beefy desktops.
Nope. We're even seeing reports, anecdotes really, of people getting models like Qwen 3.4b running directly on their phones.
On a phone. That really shows how fast things are moving for on-device AI.
It's a big deal for privacy, speed, offline use,
Right.
real accessibility, and sticking with user experiences among the smaller models like under 8 billion parameters.
Yeah.
Some testers feel the DeepSeek 8b is kind of the smartest of the bunch they've tried, handles big prompts well, which also highlights how different models consume context, differently. Efficiency varies.
Okay, complete shift. Let's talk OpenAI. The GPT-5 rumors just keep swirling.
They really do. Some reports are suggesting it could land maybe as soon as next month.
Next month. Wow.
Right.
Possibly after this expected update. MCP.
Yeah, there's chatter about MCP, maybe even this week, potentially paving the way.
But there's skepticism too, right? About
Yeah.
how big a deal GPT-5 will actually be.
Definitely. A fair bit of, okay, it'll be better, but will it be a game changer? Sentiment. Some think competitors, especially Google, are improving so fast that any lead might be short-lived.
What are people hoping for from GPT-5? What's the wish list?
A lot of the hope seems pinned on a massive context window jump, like 1 million tokens, maybe more.
So not just tweaking, but a major architectural shift.
That seems to be the expectation, or at least the hope, for something truly next level.
And then there's the speculation.
Yeah.
Is OpenAI holding back, keeping cooler stuff under wraps?
Right. Things like those super advanced voice modes we saw demos of, or maybe that sophisticated music generation, or remember that demo of the model writing really complex metafiction?
Yeah, that felt way beyond what's public now.
So the question is, are those kinds of things being saved, maybe integrated into a flagship like GPT-5? It's all speculation, of course.
And Sam Altman keeps talking about releasing models early, even if imperfect. How's that being interpreted?
It's seen a couple of ways. One view is, it's strategic. Let society adapt gradually, see the tech evolve.
The other view.
More pragmatic. It's the AI arms race. Intense competition forces your hand. You have to release quickly to stay relevant, maybe even if it means cutting corners on cautious rollouts. Altman himself has talked about scary times ahead.
That pressure cooker environment?
Right.
It does make a slow, super careful rollout seem unlikely.
Pretty much. And this whole context loops back to the anxieties about jobs, the labor market.
Because current models already seem pretty capable at, well, a lot of white-collar work.
That's the concern. Many observers look at current AI and think it can already match a lot of office tasks, which makes those optimistic era of abundance predictions feel less certain to some. Fears of actual job displacement are pretty high.
Okay, slightly different OpenAI angle, but still user-focused. Frustrations about context windows on paid plans.
Yeah, this has been bubbling up. Reports that under 28K context support has been kind of quietly dropped for several models on their Pro plans, like O4 Mini, O4 Mini High, O1 Pro.
Dropped. And users are reporting other issues too.
Some are saying they found their paid plan model silently swapped, like paying for O1 Pro, but suddenly finding they're actually using the O3 model.
Which they see as a downgrade they didn't agree to?
That's how some are describing it, yeah. A potential unconsented downgrade on a paid service.
And how does this compare to others?
Well, it looks a bit odd when you see, say, Google AI Studio offering huge context limits, often for free. And we just talked about DeepSeek R1 handling 128K efficiently.
So other providers seem to be pushing context length harder.
It seems that way, which probably makes OpenAI's reported limits and these silent changes feel more frustrating to their paying users.
All right, let's zoom out again. Broader trends. Infrastructure, data sets, technical stuff. There was that interesting statement from the U.S. Department of Energy.
Ah, yes, the Next Manhattan Project idea for AI. They actually came out and said it publicly, adding that the U.S. will win.
Which feels different from the original Manhattan Project secrecy.
Very different. It sparked debate. Like, is that the right historical analogy? And should the DOE maybe be focusing more on, say, modernizing the energy grid instead of making pronouncements about winning an AI race? Questions are being asked.
And tied to this whole race idea is infrastructure. A lot of people argue that's where the real power lies.
That's a strong argument you hear a lot. The idea that the true competitive advantage, the real moat, isn't just the AI models themselves. It's the companies providing the plumbing, the cloud providers, the chip makers like NVIDIA.
Because training and running these huge models needs just immense capital and specialized hardware.
Exactly. The barrier to entry there is incredibly high. So controlling that infrastructure or having preferential access is seen as the fundamental lever of power in this field.
And unique data is another moat, right?
For sure. Access to massive proprietary datasets is a huge advantage. Google controlling YouTube data for training video models like VEO3 is often brought up. How do you compete with that if you don't have equivalent data?
Speaking of data, there was big news from Luther AI.
Huge news. They released CommonPile. It's an 8 terabyte dataset described as Libre, free and open, and they put out a filtered version too.
8 terabytes. And they release a model trained on it.
Yep, alongside the data, they announced Comma point 1. That's a 7 billion parameter-based model trained on the filtered CommonPile. Uses a Llama 3 architecture, trained on 64 NVIDIA H100s.
And the reaction.
Very positive. People are calling it a major step for open source AI. Some even described it as the closest to a full stack FOSS model yet, meaning it could help build truly open AI systems from data to model.
Okay, now let's get really technical for a moment. Core innovations. AI writing code.
Yeah, this is pretty wild. There's serious excitement about AI-generated code, specifically CUDA-ACE kernels.
The low-level code that runs on GPUs.
Exactly. Reports are showing that AI-generated kernels within a framework called TinyGrad are performing incredibly well, like getting close to and sometimes beating the performance of production kernels in PyTorch that were optimized by human experts.
Beating human-optimized code. And they're doing this without using the standard library.
Right, without relying on things like CUTLS or Triton, which are normally used for top performance.
What kind of numbers were we talking?
It's kind of staggering. For basic matrix multiplication, the AI kernel hit about 101% of PyTorch speed. Okay, slight edge. But for convolution, like used in image processing, nearly 180% faster. Softmax, over 110% faster.
It gets better.
Oh, yeah. Layer normalization. The AI kernel was over 480% faster than PyTorch, and it combined conv2d plus ReLU plus maxpool operation, over 290% faster.
That's insane. AI optimizing low-level operations better than human experts in some cases.
It really suggests a new way forward, using AI itself to optimize the very foundations of AI computation. It could potentially bypass the need for so much painstaking, expert-level hand-tuning of these critical kernels, accelerate things dramatically.
Mind blown. AI becoming its own performance engineer. Any other technical tricks catching attention?
Yeah, a couple others quickly. System prompt learning, or SPL. It's an open source technique where the LLM learns better problem-solving strategies just by, well, solving problems from experience.
It teaches itself how to think better.
Sort of, yeah.
Oh.
And it's showing real gains on benchmarks like plus 8.6% on Arena Hard. And then there's prompt lookup decoding.
What's that do?
It offers big speedups like 2x to 4x for tasks where the answer is grounded in the input text. It uses simple string matching in a clever way to generate possibilities faster, avoiding the need for a less accurate draft model, sometimes used for speed.
Fascinating stuff happening at every level.
Truly is nonstop innovation.
So let's try and pull this all together. What's the big picture from this snapshot? We've clearly seen rapid advances in open source models. DeepSeek R1-0528 is a prime example, really challenging the closed systems.
And that's happening in this broader context of a global AI race. Chinese labs using open weights are moving incredibly fast, achieving parity or even superiority in some areas.
We're also seeing how crucial the foundations are, the infrastructure, the data sets like CommonPile. That's where many see the real long-term competition playing out.
And maybe most surprisingly, we're seeing AI itself start to optimize its own low-level code, like with those TinyGrad results, potentially unlocking new levels of performance.
The overall pace just feels relentless. And the fact that powerful AI is becoming more feasible on regular consumer hardware, that's a huge trend for accessibility.
But it's not all smooth sailing. We still have big challenges, debates about how to even evaluate these things properly, major concerns about the economic impact, the job situation.
Right, and questions around transparency and access, especially with major players like OpenAI, judging by those user frustrations we talked about.
It's just an incredibly dynamic, complex landscape, constantly shifting, constantly pushing boundaries.
So here's a thought to maybe leave you with until next time. We see models getting better at running locally on diverse hardware. We see AI generating code that sometimes beats human experts. Could the next really big AI breakthrough come not just from the giant data centers, but maybe from more distributed efforts? Or perhaps even from AI finding ways to optimize itself that we haven't even conceived of yet?